Welcome back, Careblazer. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the #1 biggest risk factor for developing dementia and 5 things the research shows that you can do to help lower your dementia risk. All right, let's get started. All right, Careblazer, it's the new year. A lot of people are really focused on their health, their well-being, and the majority of Careblazers who come to work with me personally, they share that they are afraid of developing dementia themselves. So I thought I would share with you the #1 biggest risk factor for developing dementia. And then I'll share with you what the research shows on 5 ways that you can reduce your own dementia risk. Now, it's important that when I say risk factor, I'm talking about anything that increases your risk for getting a disease, in this case, in getting dementia. So the term risk factor, for example, if we were to think about skin cancer, not wearing sun protection consistently is a risk factor for developing skin cancer. So that's what I'm meaning when I'm talking about risk factors in these videos. Now, the single biggest risk factor, and I'm not going to talk about genes in this video. I've done a previous video on genes. The majority of dementia cases are not caused by genetics and genes. It's caused by lifestyle factors in combination with genes. I would say about 3 to 8% of cases are caused 100% purely because of a genetic expression that no matter what the person did in their life and how healthy they ate and how much they exercised, they are going to develop the disease. That's the minority of cases. The majority of cases are getting dementia because maybe they have a genetic predisposition to getting Alzheimer's disease, for example. It's not a guarantee. What really sets it over the ledge is what we call lifestyle factors. So I'm going to be sharing modifiable risk factors, meaning we can change them and modify them at the end of this video. But right now, brace yourself, the single biggest risk factor for developing dementia is, in fact, your age. The percentage of people who have dementia increases with age. And according to the 2023 Alzheimer's Association Facts and Figures report, people from ages 65 to 74, about 5% of that age group have dementia. When we start to look at the 75 to 84 age group range, 13% of that age group has dementia. And then when we get to 85 years plus, 33.3% of that age group have dementia. Does not mean you are guaranteed to have dementia. It does mean that your age is a risk factor for developing dementia. In fact, my husband came home the other day so excited from work because he's a neuropsychologist. He does testing. Well, he doesn't do the testing. He interprets the tests. He goes, we tested a 98-year-old today in clinic. And, I just interpreted all the results, looked at the assessment. He is totally fine. He is functioning great for his age. So I just love that. And it's a message to you that just because you're getting older doesn't mean you are guaranteed to have dementia, but it does place you at risk factors. Now, the age group that's not in here is actually the lower age group. And there's about estimated right now in the United States, according to that Alzheimer's Association report, about 200,000 individuals in the United States who have some sort of dementia between the ages of 36 and 64. That's considered early onset dementia. Anything under the age of 65 is early onset dementia. So there's about 200,000 individuals in the United States currently who have that early onset type. Okay. Now let's look at 5 modifiable risk factors that you can focus on in the coming year to help lower your dementia risk. These are risk factors that you can change. We can't do anything about age. Our age is our age, it's going to happen. But these 5 things we can certainly do something about. I would encourage you as I share this list to think about, okay, how am I doing on this list? Are any of these something I should be paying attention to? And you'll know it as I go through it. So let's get started. Okay, the first risk factor I want to talk about today is something called emotional loneliness. People who have emotional loneliness have up to a 60% increased risk of developing dementia. This was a study outside of Japan. I did a whole video on it. I'll link to it below. And this is not talking about having a bunch of friends and activities and social outlets. It does not have to be like that at all. This is talking about the feeling of being lonely. You can have a bunch of friends and still feel lonely, and you can have hardly any friends and not feel lonely at all. So I would really encourage you to ask yourself, Are you feeling emotionally lonely? Are you feeling like something is missing? You don't have connection? I mean, a pet could potentially be this connection for you. For me, Nico serves that purpose really amazingly. So I just want to encourage you, perhaps connection with others. Is that something you want to prioritize in the new year? So that's emotional loneliness. The second thing I want to talk about, and there was a really big study that came out this past, in 2023, uncorrected hearing loss is a huge risk factor for developing dementia. In fact, it's estimated that up to 8% of cases of dementia could have been entirely prevented had the person been using their hearing aids. I'll be sure to link that scientific article below in the description so that you can click and read on that yourself. If you are somebody who thinks maybe you have some hearing loss, or maybe your hearing's not quite what it should be, perhaps in 2024, your goal could be to get your hearing checked out. And if you're somebody who has those hearing aids and just aren't wearing them, this might be your cue and push to really do so. Okay, the third thing that increases dementia risk, which probably is not a surprise to anybody, is smoking. This is huge. Smoking increases your risk of developing dementia. And the great news is that when you quit smoking, your risk of getting dementia can be comparable to somebody who never smoked at all. So quitting does play a big role. Quitting is an important thing to do with great benefits if you're currently a smoker. Fourth risk factor for developing dementia, again, no surprises. However, I would encourage you to ask yourself, are you doing this? Research is very clear that one of the best things you can do to prevent and reduce your chances of getting dementia is to be physically active. Now, there isn't like some very clear protocol that you have to walk this amount of time at this intensity for this duration. It's not like that. We don't have those specifics yet. However, it's clear that physical activity is very important, as well as incorporating some more vigorous activity. So something that really gets your heart rate pumping. Of course, you want to check with your doctor, make sure you're cleared to do whatever exercise plan you're thinking about doing. But please, this is the new year. You can do new goals. You can start to have new health habits. And I hope that this would encourage you to, whether you need to get an accountability group, surround yourself with other people with similar goals, whatever you need to do to reach your goals of being more physically active, I would strongly encourage you to do that. The last one is also one of the biggest ones ever. None of you should be surprised by it, but again, I would encourage you to ask yourself, are you actually doing this? I certainly hope so. It doesn't need to be perfect, but the last biggest risk factor for developing dementia is going to be a healthy diet. We want to eat a healthy diet. Now, again, the research isn't showing you have to eat these foods exactly. Overall, the Mediterranean diet comes up a lot for a general overall healthy diet for people to reduce their risk of developing dementia. If you're not familiar with the Mediterranean diet, you can certainly do your own research on it. It's basically a diet that consists of little red meat consumption, more fish, veggies, grains, fruits. That's going to be the Mediterranean diet. There's also the DASH diet, which is dietary approaches to stop hypertension. That can also be helpful in reducing the risk of developing dementia. Okay, Careblazer, how did you do on these 5 things? Emotional loneliness, hearing loss, smoking, physical activity, healthy diet. Do not get overwhelmed. We can all improve on these areas. So for example, right now for me, the top 3 are not an issue. I don't have hearing loss. I'm not a smoker. I don't feel emotionally lonely. However, I can always improve on these bottom 2. In fact, I am pretty physically active, but if I'm being honest with myself, I actually have not been doing as much of the vigorous activity. I've been doing more of the hiking and the yoga, those types of things. I really need to increase my vigorous activity. And then healthy diet, I can always improve. Now, nobody's going to be perfect. Believe me, I'm still eating handfuls of chips. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of that. But I am being more mindful about what I'm eating, especially my first meal of the day. And so I just want to encourage you, nobody's perfect, but what can you do if you're somebody who's really concerned about developing dementia yourself? Now, there are 2 things you can do to really set yourself up for super success in this coming new year. Number 1, I have the Dementia Careblazers Survival Guide. We are on the 2nd edition. It is over 60 pages, jam-packed with resources, tips, and all of the most important information you need to know to help yourself along the dementia caregiver journey It is completely free. The link is below in the description, or you can just go to careblazers.com/guide and get your hands on that guide. The other thing you can do is you can hit the red subscribe button on your screen. That is also 100% totally free. And what it helps make sure is that you get, like, my videos will pop up when you go on YouTube so that you will see the new videos I do. I do a minimum of one a week. And then the other thing that it does is it communicates to YouTube that you are somebody who is interested in learning about how to navigate the dementia care journey. So YouTube will start showing you other resources that could be helpful for you. And selfishly, honestly, for me, when you hit the subscribe button, it communicates to YouTube that these videos are great for people like you. And so they will go out and start to look for people who are like you and put my videos in front of them to see if that can help. And ultimately, what that does, the true thing I really want is for these videos to reach as many caregivers as possible, caregivers who don't have the time to, or don't have the ability, or don't have the access or the resources or the finances to go out and find this information themselves. It allows them to get this information for free online. It really does mean a lot, and it's a simple thing. Careblazer, I am wishing you all the best in 2024. I can't wait to hear what you do, the progress you make. If you're interested in working more personally with me and a group of amazing Careblazers, I would really encourage you to check out our care course, where you can get some live support, weekly support groups, Q&As, answers from other dementia experts. It's a really great program, and the link to that is below this video as well. Everything is on careblazers.com. That is all I have for you today. Sending you so much love. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free, and Nico says thank you very much.